This act of tossing the barley in the air is an act of warding away the evil omens and calls for the protection and well-being of those concerned. So it symbolizes victory of God over evil. Mr. Sringpaldala.
And for the sake of Tibetan supporters who are here, let me introduce briefly why we are participating in this Tibetan Independence Torch organized by the Tibetan Youth Congress, headquartered in Dharamsala, India. The torch was first initiated on March 25th from Dharamsala, where the Tibetan government is based today. And this torch has already traveled through a lot of metro cities in India and has already traveled through America, has come to New York from Portland. And it will continue to go to all over the world. Its next stop is in Toronto in Canada. It will then go on its journey into the countries in Europe, England, France, Belgium, Switzerland. It will go on to Japan, to Australia, to Nepal, and is scheduled to arrive in our own country, Tibet, exactly on the first day of the Beijing 2008 Olympic. There are three main objectives, three main aims for the Tibetan Youth Congress to initiate this independent torch. Firstly, it is to highlight and to share with the world that Tibet was an independent state, was an independent nation when the communist China came and took over Tibet in 1949. From 1911 to 1951, there was no foreign power, no foreign influence in Tibet. Tibet was an independent statehood by international law. Tibet has their postal system. Tibet has their own government. We have our own taxation system. We have our own flag. We have our own national anthem. We have our own distinct culture, distinct religion, distinct tradition, which are the proof of Tibetans. We are not Chinese, as the Chinese communists is claiming. They are claiming we are part of China. You ask any Chinese, ask them, are we Chinese? They would say, no. Then why the government is claiming our country? Why they are oppressing the Tibetans in Tibet? Their oppression has continued since 1949. And this is not the first time that Tibetans are rising up against their rule. Tibetan has been rising up ever since 1949. But this year, just because the spotlight is on Beijing, spotlight is on China, that the international, the world is coming to know about the Tibetan problem. We have already lost more than 1.2 million Tibetans under the brutal rule of communist Chinese government. Just last year, just last month and this month, we have lost more than 155 Tibetans. In Tibet, if we gather like this, the Chinese army is bound to open the fire on the people. They are bound to use the live ammunition. That's why we keep losing people. And the mass abduction is going on in Tibet. Tibetans are disappearing every day in the run-up to the Beijing Olympic because they fear that Tibetans will rise up again. So that's why in Tibet, the team of Chinese Communist Army, they go around for manhunting. They arrest all those Tibetans who are likely to protest, who are likely to risk their life. It's a big concern. The situation in Tibet is very tense. People are losing their life. And the 155 death, confirmed death that we know is only through the limited source of information we have from Tibet. Think about the Nangbala Pass. The innocent Tibetans fleeing Tibet, they are being shot. So imagine if a huge number of Tibetans in thousands, if they are challenging their power right on the street, what would they face? They have imposed the information blackout in Tibet. We don't receive any information because there are no reporters. Tibet is cut off from the world. We do not know what is going on. Maybe at right this moment, maybe the massacre is going on. But the information is tightly controlled. We don't hear anything. So it's very important that our Tibetan supporters help us at least to get the international media right into Tibet. They are already planning to take the Olympic torch to the top of the Mount Everest and then through the Tibet. IOC is aware that it would be a bloodshed. We already have sent numerous petitions right to the president of IOC. At least please drop Tibet out of the Olympic torch relay. But he has not responded yet. And he knows for sure, the IOC knows for sure, the world knows that if the torch goes through Tibet, it's a bloodshed. It's a human disaster. It's known, it's a truth. But I don't want to blame on everybody, but at the IOC, it's not doing anything. And in fact, they are preparing what to answer if the death happens on the relay torch relay through Tibet. That's not what we want. We want them to prevent the death from Tibet. And it is for sure, I guarantee you, Tibetans won't stay silent. The Tibetans in Tibet, those who rose up, they are pro-independent Tibetans. Look at their slogans they raised in Tibet. Their slogan is, let's regain Tibet's independence. That's their slogan. They are asking for the quick return of Dalai Lama. So those Tibetans, will they shut up? Will they keep quiet? Will they let the Chinese march through our country? No, they will rise up and they are bound to face the brutality of Chinese foes. You know how brutal they are. So it's very important, at least we have the reporters in Tibet. So at least we know, the world will come to know. In that way, it helps us gaining the international support. China, see, when the torch goes through Everest, they said they will first allow the media. But they already blocked those media, blaming on the weather condition. Why they would do that? They said they will open Tibet for the tourists on May 1st. But they have already postponed all those because they are preparing to block Tibet when the torch goes through Tibet. Because they know there is bound to be a bloodshed. So through Tibetan Independence Torch, we hope to create international campaign on free Tibet, for free Tibet.